How you doing, everyone? Happy Memorial Day, and thanks for joining me for another Pokemon VGC video where I attempt to climb the online rankings and try to become a better competitive battler and commentator as I go along. And it is a new week, and it is a new team that I am putting together here. And last week I didn't do as many videos as I normally should. I may not be doing as many videos as I say I will be doing daily uploads. I'm going to try to do daily uploads, but it's going to be very hard with my schedule coming up because I have to cover so many shifts at work. And not only the fact that I have to cover a lot of shifts at work, I'm just very busy with my personal life, and I can do only so many videos in a given day, and I have to basically record them in like a couple of days during the week and just post them throughout the week. But we're bringing a new team today. We're going to throw the old Trick Room out the window where I used at New England Regionals. It did very, very well, but it had a lot of holes in the team, and I was surprised as I didn't do very well on the battle spot, but I did very well at the competition because I guess people in the battle spot know how to counter Trick Room teams more than the people did at any regionals. I don't know, I did very well at any regionals, and I was very proud of how I did, and I could have went 6-2, but unfortunately not going to be the case. Getting crit 3 times in a row was going to give me a loss, and it did. But today we're going to be bringing a very, very, very not gimmicky team, but a very, very tricky team, because this can be a very offensive team, but it also can be a team where it uses Perish Trap. And this is a team that's pretty much just inspired off of Amelia Zoldy's, I'm sorry if I mispronounce it, and Wolfe Glick's team, and they both played each other at New England Regionals in the, I believe, semifinals, and Amelia came in third, and Wolfe came in first. I'm using Amelia's set of Gardevoir and Mega Sableye, and I'm using Wolfie's core of the Shadow Tag Perish Trap here, and basically just, you know, the support Arcanine. I don't know why I couldn't think of its name. So we're going to see how well we could do with this team. I actually was battling on Battle Spot, and I was doing fairly well with this team. These Pokemon are all special attackers, so it's kind of weak to Sylveon, but I have a way to counter Sylveon with my Mega Gardevoir, so let's see how well it does do. And let's see if we can actually get matched up with someone who will. 1481 player from Luxembourg, Bauerg. I guess that's in maybe Germany, I don't know, but he is going to have a team of Sableye, Gengar, Terrakion, Bisharp, Mungus, and Hydreigon. Okay, so most likely going to have the Mega Salamence and the support Gengar, possibly with Icy Wind just to slow down his my Pokemon to you know, just to support his other Pokemon that could possibly be slower, just like the Bisharp. Possible leads right here. Usually Bisharp is generally a lead, especially when you see other Intimidators on the team, which I do have an Intimidator on my team, being the Arcanine. My Arcanine is actually EV trained so that it can outspeed an Adamant Max Attack and Max Speed Bisharp by 1 point. So speed creeping the Bisharp is going to help, even though I give it the Defiant boost. It's going to cause a lot of problems if it is the Focus Sash variant, but he also has the Terrakion that can threaten my team, and the Amoonguss if I do get the Trick Room up. But I do have a zero speed Amoonguss on my team. I'm not too worried about the Hydreigon because my Gardevoir counters it and checks it very well as the Salamence. Gardevoir not being very physically defensive, though. It's just mostly specially defensive. Just trying to think of what actually would be a beneficial lead in my position right here. I could lead with the Sableye and the Gardevoir. I get a Will-O-Wisp on the Bisharp if he wants to lead with that. And I could also Mega Evolve my Sableye to basically just keep this Amoonguss in check, but I really have nothing to get rid of it. So let me start thinking right here. I think the Gardevoir and Arcanine are really, really good leads in my opinion. Yeah, I'm going to go that. Because he wants to lead with his Moongus, I'm going to get a Overheat off and a Psychic off. He wants to lead with the Bisharp, I'm going to get an Intimidate off, even though it gives it the Divine Boost, but I can get an Overheat and just one-hit KO and get it Hyper Voice off, because I do outspeed with my Mega Gardevoir. I'm going to bring my Polys. Poly does counter the Terrakion very well and the Salamence. And I'm going to bring my Amoonguss. I don't know who I brought right there. Again, I always talked way too much when I'm trying to do the team preview. Interesting to see who I actually brought right here, but I did want to bring the Amoonguss just basically to counter his Amoonguss as well, and his Terrakion. So let's see what we actually brought here. If I brought my Gatatel, that's perfectly fine. It does do well in this battle right here. He's going to lead with his Amoonguss, and he's going to lead with his Gengar. I'm perfectly fine with that. I'm going to lead with my Arcanine. I'm going to lead with my Gardevoir. So, his Gengar is most likely the Focus Sashed one. And his Bisharp is probably the Life Orbed one, so I really don't have to worry about that. I get Regenerator on my Gardevoir, so That's okay. That's okay. I mean, I really, the levitate not working out right here anyway. So, I'm trying to think of whether or not I want to Mega Evolve right here with my Gardevoir. He may actually just protect with his Moongus, predicting the Overheat and the Psychic right into that slot. I do threaten his. I really do threaten his Gengar a lot with my Gardevoir, but I'm not gonna one-hit KO it. That's definitely not gonna happen. What I could do here is I could go for the Psychic on the Gengar slot, Snarl, so I can get the KO on the Gengar, because, Snarl obviously going to hit both of the Pokemon, but the thing is, if he doesn't protect with his Moongus right here, and he spores one of my Pokemon, I'm kind of screwed. He could spore my, he actually, you know what? Let me do this. If he wants the Rage Powder, which I don't think he's going to do, because Psychic's going to do a lot of damage to this Amoonguss. I'm going to get a lot of damage off of the Amoonguss, but I don't think he's going to do that. I think he's just going to protect with his Amoonguss. Okay, he's going to protect with his Amoonguss, which is perfectly fine. I'm going to get the Snarl off, and I'm going to get the Psychic off. And then he's going to use Sludge Bomb. It's not going to KO my Gardevoir, so hopefully it doesn't get the poison. Yeah, it's not going to KO. Don't get the poison, don't get the poison. Okay, so I'm going to get the Snarl off. I'm going to get the KO on this Gengar, but the Gengar, unfortunately, doing a lot of work to my, my Gardevoir. And I'm going to get the Psychic off on this Gengar. Okay, so we got the Gengar out of the way. Could potentially be a threat in this. He does threaten my my Gardevoir, but then we have to worry about the Moongus as well, because he could just start throwing up spores here. So he can't protect on this following turn. So I'm trying to think of what I could do right here. He does throw the Salamence in there. Salamance's most likely going to Mega Evolve. Probably go for the Double Edge straight into the Gardevoir, and then probably Spore onto my Arcanine. But again, Arcanine having the safety goggles on there just for the Amoonguss reason, not going to be the case. So he's not going to be able to get the Spore off of my Arcanine. So I'm trying to think right here. He could also go for the Hyper Voice, get some damage off in the Arcanine, and just most likely KO the Gardevoir. I think he can actually KO the Gardevoir at that range. So again, he can't KO. But the thing is, if I get an Overheat off, I'm going to be down Special Attack 2 stages, and then he could just switch out his Amoonguss. So I'm trying to think what I want to do here. What do I want to do here? Okay, so I think this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go for the Overheat into the Amoonguss. I'm going to go for the Protect with my Gardevoir right here. Just basically trying to stole a turn with my Gardevoir, and I think I'm going to switch up my Arcanine so I can preserve the Intimidate. Okay, that's perfectly fine. You can go for the Protect. I'm going to go for the Protect with my Gardevoir. Kind of looking back on that now, I shouldn't have protected with my Gardevoir. I wasn't expecting the Protect, to be honest with you, from that, I knew it wasn't going to KO. I knew it wasn't going to KO. But he is... Yeah, Gardevoir is going to protect, so he actually doesn't know that I have the safety goggles, which is really good. So that's good. He's most likely going to switch out his Amoonguss right here. I don't think I took a picture of his team, which I should have. Yeah, I didn't take a picture of his team, but I know he has the Salamence, he has the Amoonguss, he had the Gengar, he had the Terrakion, he had the Bisharp. Bisharp's not going to want to switch in an Overheat. Terrakion, I could switch in an Overheat, but it's not really doing anything in both of my Pokemon, especially if I go for the Hyper Voice right here. It's just going to lose his Terrakion. So I can't really think of the other Pokemon it does have, but I don't know whether or not any of them actually want to switch into another Overheat. So I'm actually going to, he could go for the Protect, though. He could go for the Protect. I'm just going to go for the Overheat right here, and most likely gonna go for the Double Edge into my Gardevoir spot. So I'm trying to think of who I can actually switch in right here. I should have brought my Sableye to use the Quash. I'm gonna throw my Politoed in here. If he's gonna throw a Hyper Voice at me, Politoed's gonna eat that up. But if he does throw the Double Edge at the Politoed, it's not gonna eat it up very well. So let's see how this wants to work itself out. Hopefully this Amoonguss doesn't go for the Protect, even though the rain is up. The Overheat will still KO at this range. He is actually going to switch out his Amoonguss, so And who's he going to throw in there? He's going to throw in the Hydreigon, which is a good switch. That's actually the other Pokemon that I didn't think of. And he's going to use the Earthquake. So this is a Earthquake set. So this is most likely a physical set on the Salamence. I'm going to go for the Overheat. It's not going to do anything, especially in the rain. So Politoed actually threatening both of his Pokemon a lot right here. I can't really go for the Parasong right now because I don't have him down to both of his last Pokemon. If I did have my Gothitelle right here, though, it would do very well. Especially he wouldn't have been able to switch out his Amoonguss. But his Hydreigon does threaten my Gothitelle, which is basically what I was thinking in the team preview when I was looking at his team. I didn't want to bring Gothitelle for that reason because Dark Pulse is just going to ruin Gothitelle. Alright, so I'm trying to think of what I want to do right now. He's most likely just going to go for the Dark Pulse on the, with the, Hydreigon. So, I have all of my Pokemon left. Hopefully that would be great if we went for the, I don't really want to lose my eject button right just yet. I do want to switch out my Arcanine, though. I don't want to lose my Gardevoir. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. Double Protect, see what he wants to do with his Hydreigon. Get some lefties. Okay, so let's see what's going to go down here. He's going to go for a Protect with his Salamence. It's kind of a good play, because probably anticipating the Ice Beam into the Salamence slot, but I'm going to go for a Double Protect here. See what he wants to do with his Hydreigon. He's probably going to Draco Meteor my, he's going to Dark Pulse. He's going to Dark Pulse the Politoed. That wouldn't have KO'd, as far as I know, so I would have been able to get an Ice Beam off, but he did Protect with the Salamence, so that was a good play on his part, expecting the Ice Beam into the Salamence slot. Alright, so I could have just got a free switch into my Gardevoir right there. Okay, so he's going to go for the Dark Pulse with his Hydreigon. Most likely going to Earthquake again. So the Earthquake goes off, I switch my Amoonguss in there, my Amoonguss is going to get switched out. But then who... That's the thing. Okay, so I'm going to switch my Amoonguss into the Arcanine slot. And he's going to get switched out. I'm going to switch my Arcanine back in there. I'm going to get the Intimidate off on the Salamence. The thing is, yeah. You know what? Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to switch in the Amoonguss right now. Then I can get Regenerator Health with my Amoonguss. Put the Arcanine back in there. Salamence isn't going to be doing much on the following turn. He's not going to be able to KO my Arcanine. And then I'm going to go into my... Actually, I'm going to Ice Beam right here. I don't know whether or not I think the Earthquake and the Dark Pulse actually can KO my Politoed. It's so hard to try to play on camera and commentate what I'm going to be doing. I wouldn't be having as tough as a time as I am now, but he does have the potential to flinch my Politoed right here with the Dark Pulse. 30% chance of flinching. Alright, so Politoed actually sucking all those attacks up. So this is actually going to be very bad for Salamence right here, unless he does have the Roost, because I don't think an Ice Beam would be able to KO. An Ice Beam, yeah, because I have no special attack investment in this. Only if I had the Sableye. If the Sableye was here, I'd be putting in so much work. Alright, so do I want to switch in my Gardevoir right here? If I switch my Gardevoir, the Hydreigon's is going to outspeed it and just KO it with the Dark Pulse. Gardevoir is extremely threatening to that Amoonguss. I do really want to keep that around, so I'm going to put my Arcanine back in there. Okay. Okay, if I can get a Spore off onto this Hydreigon, then I think I'm in a better position. Or possibly a Snarl off on it, but... Thing is, do I KO the Salamence? It's going to be close. It's going to be very close. If he has special defense investment, I'm going to get the freeze. That's unfortunate. That's fortunate for me. But again, I didn't think a Ice Beam was going to KO with my Politoed anyway. So he's probably most likely going to go for the Dark Pulse into my Politoed slot. Did get the Intimidate off on this Salamence, which is really good. He is frozen, can't Will-O-Wisp it. I wouldn't Will-O-Wisp it at this range anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go for the Snarl, reduce this, trying to think. It's going to Dark Pulse the Politoed slot. I'm gonna go for a protect on my Politoed slot. He's probably gonna protect. He's gonna Dark Pulse the Politoed slot. If he predicts that and goes for the Dark Pulse into the Arcanine, yep, he did. He did. It's not. Oh my God, he gets the crit. That wasn't actually. That actually was not gonna KO. That was not gonna KO. I have a very, very, very bulky Arcanine. That is really unfortunate. He did predict that very, very well. I should have went for the Ice Beam onto the Salamence just to KO it, and then I would have been able to get a Perish Song off. Okay, so that's bad. That's very, very bad. Well, I put my Gardevoir in here. Put the Amoonguss in here. I'm gonna put the Amoonguss in here. I'm gonna hope that he stays frozen again for another turn. I don't really like relying on hacks, but I have to get a Spore off. Now he's probably gonna switch back into his Amoonguss into the Hydreigon slot. That would actually be really smart. Most likely going to go for a Hyper Voice right here. I'm going to protect with my Amoonguss in case he does wake up, goes for the Double Edge into the Amoonguss. He also could go for the Hyper Voice. It's not going to KO my Politoed. Does he switch out here? I think he's going to switch out here with his Hydreigon. I do think he's going to do that. I have to get rid of the Salamence right now, just to get him down to his last Pokemon. He is going to withdraw. He's going to go into the Amoonguss, which is perfectly fine. Hopefully this Salamence stays frozen, doesn't get the Hyper Voice off, or the Double Edge into the Politoed. He's going to do that. He's going to get KO'd by my Ice Beam, and that's going to be good. That's going to be good. That is going to be very, very good. Just trying to think ahead here. He's going to throw his Hydreigon in there. His Amoonguss is going to really threaten my Politoed. Could go for the straight up Giga Drain on it, and then he's probably going to go for... Now, he doesn't want to lock himself in the Draco Meteor. If he's most likely spec'd with his Hydreigon, so he's probably going to lock himself into Dark Pulse just to get the chance for the flinch. And then he's going to go for, most likely, a Spore into my Politoed. Or he could just go for the Dark Pulse into Politoed, Giga Drain into the Politoed, just get some health back, and just KO my Politoed, because my Politoed is probably the biggest threat for him right now, because he can outspeed my Gardevoir with his Hydreigon. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to protect with my Politoed, get lefties off. I'm going to put this Hydreigon to sleep with my Amoonguss. His Amoonguss can't do anything to my Amoonguss. The only thing this Amoonguss can do is actually, you know, he can't do anything to my Amoonguss. He can put my Politoed to sleep. He can Giga Drain my Politoed for the potential KO. That won't KO though, so he's probably going to go for the Spore onto the Politoed. So yeah, that's what I think he's going to be up to right now. So he's going to go after the Politoed, and I'm going to protect my Politoed right now. Yeah, so that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to go for the Protect. Okay, so Protect with my Politoed, go for the Spore on the Hydreigon. The following turn, I'm going to go for the Perish Song with my Politoed. Fire Blast! Okay, that shouldn't KO. So he's locked himself in the Fire Blast, so he has a chance to miss. He has a chance to miss, so that's very, very good. Unless he's actually was, you know, not, unless he was actually fronting with his Dark Pulse and he's actually not choiced right now. But that's really, really good. That's really good. Even if he puts my Politoed to sleep, that's fine. Unless this is what he does. This is what he does. He's probably going to Spore my my Amoonguss slot, predicting to switch out into my Gardevoir. Put my Gardevoir to sleep. He's going to take a turn to sleep with his Hydreigon. Even though I get the Perish Song off, that's going to put me into a crappy position, because then his Hydreigon can wake up and just KO my Gardevoir. Yeah, because he's like, oh man, he can't do anything with his Amoonguss right now. I think that's what he's going to do. He's going to Spore that slot. If he Spores my Politoed, that's fine. So That's the thing, though. Do I switch into my Gardevoir? I think I'm going to switch into my Gardevoir. I think he's going to go for the Politoed again. If he doesn't go for the Politoed, that's fine. I'm going to go for the Persong, and that's kind of what this team is all about. It's kind of like a defensive, like defensively stalling tactic. If this was an actual match in the tournament, I would have won right now because the 15-minute timer would have went down. He's going to stay asleep, and hopefully this... I'm going to get Persong off. And let's see what this Amoonguss wants to do. I already got my Persong off, so he can't do anything about that. He's going for the Spore into the Gardevoir, into the Politoed. Okay, so that was a good switch in on my part. Now, the thing is, does he wake up with his Hydreigon right here? If he wakes up with his Hydreigon, he will most likely KO my Gardevoir if the Fire Blast does connect. I'm going to stay asleep again, so he's probably going to go for the Giga Drain into my Politoed right here. So I'm going to throw my Amoonguss in on that slot, because I'm going to have the Regenerator health. I don't think he's going to go for a Fire Blast into the Politoed slot. And I'm going to... Because if he goes for a Fire Blast into the Politoed slot, I'm going to get a Hyper Voice off. So that's going to be it for this Hydreigon. But the thing is, this Amoonguss... Yeah, this Amoonguss actually isn't a threat, because I could just go for the Psychic onto the Amoonguss. But does he Protect that? Go for the Protect, and then wake up with his Hydreigon, go for the KO onto the... But there's only 2 turns left. There's only 2 turns left. Can I stall him out for 2 more turns? I'm going to go for the Hyper Voice. I think he's going to Protect with his Amoonguss right now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch into my... You know, I kind of want to take a guaranteed turn of sleep right here to potentially wake up if I do switch out my Politoed. So I'm going to keep my Politoed in right here. I'm going to go for the Hyper Voice, knock out the Hydreigon. So he isn't going to Protect with his Amoonguss. So I could have went for the Psychic on it, but I kind of want to get this Hydreigon out of the way, because it is actually going to be a huge threat if it does wake up. So it does stay asleep right there. It's going to go for the Giga Drain into the Politoed. Okay, that's fine, because I don't even think I have to like go down to the Persong right here, because I'm just going to Psychic the Amoonguss slot. What he could have done right there is actually go for the Spore onto my Gardevoir. I mean, he can't really do anything with Amoonguss right here anyway. He was in kind of a crappy situation because he can't do anything to my Amoonguss. If it came down to a Giga Drain war, I most likely would have won because I had more health than this Amoonguss, but that's not going to be the case, so I'm just going to go for the straight up Psychic onto the slot. And then, I'm just so that he doesn't get another Giga Drain off, for what reason why he would be doing that, I'm just going to switch into my Amoonguss right here, and then get a Psychic off into this Amoonguss, and that should be game. And this is actually a very, very long game, and that's kind of like the purpose of these teams, just to basically make the games longer than they should be, because I'm playing a defensive game right now, and that's exactly how Wolfe played, and that's how he won the NE Regional. So we're going to pick up a win and a defeat in this game, and that's actually going to be it for today's episode, because these episodes are going to be really long, and I don't want them to be like 40 minutes long, because it's going to take forever to upload them to YouTube, and I don't think you want to watch episodes that long. So if you do, just leave a comment in the description below. But that's going to be it for today's episode. I'm going to be featuring this team all week, and you're going to be seeing another episode hopefully tomorrow. So I'll catch you guys later. Thank you. Bye-bye.